Hey, what up? This is your boy, the Solo Traveler ORD. Thanks again for checking out another one of my videos. And of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And then hit the bell while you're here, and I greatly appreciate it. So I wanted to give you guys a story of what happened to me relatively about 2 weeks ago. So this basically, it comes down to what's been building up for the past couple of months or whatever. So for those of you that know or don't know or whatever, it is pretty rough to travel with a dog, especially out of an international country, especially during this time of COVID, or as soon as COVID hit. So basically, you guys know that I went to Cartagena relatively about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I came back. Well, my wife, she stayed out in Colombia for another additional 2 days to get some personal things in order before she comes back, especially for the dog and whatever. So here's the thing. With the dog, we got everything that we needed, such as the rabies shots, all the information, the tag, all that. This is my first time dealing with dogs. I don't really deal with pets. This is not my thing, because the reason being is because I love to travel. So I don't want anything to stop me from traveling, such as pets or whatever.
How dare you?
This is her. This is what she likes. She likes pets, whatever. Have a dog. So situation is that we got all the information, everything completed as needed. We sent it over to the CDC, and they approved it all. They said everything is all good, gravy. When you guys show up to the airport, shouldn't have any problems. Cool. We talked to the airlines and everything over the phone. I've talked to them several times, like, yeah, this is what's going on. And they assured me that everything should be, everything should be good, no problems. And that's the thing. I actually put her on my favorite airline. I'm not even going to say their name, just start with an A. I've talked about them several times. Here's the thing. So basically, I booked a flight so she could come back, and her flight was leaving from Medellin to Miami. So she goes to the airport the day of early to take care of more documentation for the dog. Everything was good at the airport. It was early morning, and then she went back home, or the family house. So finally, when it came down to her to leave, her flight, which was a red eye flight. So she gets there like at 9 p.m. or so. And basically they tell her she can't fly with the dog. We're like, what? What you mean can't fly with the dog? You're like, no, we'll not accept the dog, whatever. You cannot fly with the dog no matter what. Doesn't matter if it's a emotional support animal, whatever. It has to be a service dog. And of course, in Colombia, it's gonna be hard for you to take care of stuff like that, to get your dog to be the certified United States, service dog, which with the actual service vest and all the other stuff, whatever. We only had like 2 weeks prior to, when I first found out about that, we had 2 weeks prior to it, and I still talked to them, and they assured me that things would still be okay. You still be able to, as long as you can carry the dog in the cabin, as long as you have a carrier case, it'll be no problem. Even though it's not a service dog. Okay, so we get there. They said no, can't fly with the dog. Things is going crazy. She's crying, all the stuff that's going on, and I'm like, yo, what am I supposed to do? The funny thing is, I was actually on a live with a good friend, No Excuse. I actually had to drop off that abruptly because of the fact that this was going on. So basically, I get the phone call, and they're like, no, it can't happen. I'll call customer service. They're like, they really can't do nothing about it right now. Basically it was kind of late. So at the end of the day, I was like, look, I need to cancel this flight so I can get my money back, my credits and so forth. So that's what I ended up doing. I ended up canceling the flight. And the next day, I had to come up with a lot of money for her to fly out the next day on a different airline. And I tell you, boy, that was $1,000 gone right there, for that last minute flight. So basically, she ended up leaving from Medellin to New York. Jesus Good thing we booked that flight to New York with the other airline, which started with an A. This is a Colombian airline. So basically, the night of when she's getting ready to leave, it was the next day, I called up the A airline. I don't want to use their name because I don't want to be flagged, whatever. I called them up and told them the whole situation, because I rebooked her on a flight from New York back to Chicago. So they're like, yeah, everything gonna be good, no problem. They're like, yo, you'll be okay. As long as you got everything, got the carrying case, should be no problem. Like, okay, good, you know, and I was upfront about it all. So then, you know, thing about it is that when she gets to New York, and here's the thing, she gets to New York, and you know, I can tell that she's very tired. She's like dizzy, don't even know what's going on, you know, somewhat incoherent, you know, because she haven't had enough sleep for the past couple of days. But she finally makes her way to a counter. It wasn't the right counter. I talked to her over the phone. I'm like, yo, what's going on? She's like, she's at this counter. She don't know what's going on. I talked to them, found out that she was at the wrong counter. She had to go to wherever she needed to go to. So finally she gets to the counter that she needs to go to. And she tells me that they said she can't fly with the dog. I'm like, what? What you mean she can't fly with the dog? They're like, no, you can't fly with the dog. Didn't say nothing. She didn't tell me nothing. So I'm like heated now. I'm like, yo, I jump on the line, call the customer service, you know, I got them on the line. I'm like, yo, what's going on? You know what? She's supposed to be on the flight. You guys said everything's gonna be okay. You said there'd be no problems. You know, basically, what is going on? So basically, we're on a call. I'm on a call with her. She's at the actual service desk, and basically, we're all three of us talking together. And the lady at the service desk was like, no, she can't fly with the dog no matter what. The dog is coming from an international country, which basically, especially Colombia, and they don't approve of the dog flying on the flight no matter what. I'm like, really? So I'm like, yo, so what's the difference if the dog would have flown, let's say, in the next 4 days? Are you going to say the dog can't fly? You big dummy. Because, I mean, it's coming from that country, from Colombia. I mean, what's the difference? You know, and they couldn't even answer that. They're like, no, you know, this is the rule. I'm like, the rule is pretty flawed. It doesn't make sense. So 2 days later, if I buy a flight, I can fly with the dog to wherever I want to go to. So just because she came from an international destination or so, not from that carrier at all. You know, this is from a different carrier. Just because she was an international, I guess, the section of JFK. So they were like, nah, she can't fly with the dog. They're like, you know what? Probably another way you could do it is through a partial service. And they were like, well, the partial service is going to cost you about maybe $1,500. And the fact that you may not be able to get the dog on the flight today, maybe tomorrow. She's like, what? Like, yo, this ain't making sense, you know? So all this for a dog. So I'm like, you know what? Forget it. This is what we're going to do. You're going to catch a train to get from New York to Chicago. We'll do that. So I quickly jump online, book her a ticket, the ride, the Amtrak, whatever. So then I had to pay for Uber for her to leave from JFK all the way to Penn Station to Manhattan, coming from Queens. Yo, that cost me about $80 one way. I'm like, damn, man, this is messed up here. You know, I'm paying extra money for this. You know, already I had to pay, you know, $1,000. Now I gotta pay this $80, and she couldn't even get on the flight. And you know, I'm like, hopefully she gets on this train ride. Yo, she gets there, and they were like, you know what? Everything looks good, but you can't travel with this dog. Like, what? What you mean you can't travel with this dog? They're like, no, you can't travel with the dog. It ain't gonna happen. I'm like, yo, this is starting to get crazy. Yo, so every step of the way, they wouldn't let her travel with the dog to come back to Chicago. So we're like, yo, her original flight that was at 8 a.m., they actually bumped her, put her onto another flight, like at 3, 4 o'clock, whatever. So we're like, all right, cool. You know what? Let's see what we could do. We'll take her back to the airport, and we'll just make it work that way. Yo, basically, I got her an Uber from Penn Station to JFK, and that cost me $140. I was floored. I was like, yo, I can't. This is crazy right here. Yo, I ain't feeling this right here. I feel like I'm just bleeding money left and right. So, and I want 40. That's not even including a tip right there. You know, that was just 140 for a car ride. So she gets there. Things is not looking right. I'm just like, yo, this is not working out, you know, and I'm just tired of just paying extra money, you know, from the train, and you know, same thing with the bus. I didn't want to, you know, go down a bus route because it's the same company that does the bus as the Amtrak, whatever, you know, and it was just like, I was just like, well, forget it, you know, we just wasting time and trying to get this whole thing over with. Finally, I was just like, you know what, I'm done spending money. Look, I'm about to book you a hotel. You're gonna be there for another 2 days, or I'm sorry, 3 days, because of the fact that, you know, the next day I'll be able to fly out. So I think it was 3 nights or whatever. I'm saying, you know what? I'm gonna have to take this drive from Chicago to New York. Yo, one of the longest drive I've ever taken. See, those that know me, I don't like to drive long distance because, yo, I love to fly. I'm gonna fly there. You know, why am I gonna waste so many hours on the road when I could just fly there? You know, I have the means to make it happen. That's just what it is, you know. But since this is a last minute thing, and you know, the whole dog situation seemed like every step of the way we're being denied, and I just didn't want to continue just bleeding money for nothing, for no reason. So, yo, the next morning, got up. My daughter, she decided that she wanted to come with me on a road trip, so it was nice. So it ended up to be a good trip. You know, drove from Chicago to New York on the way. Yo, I could tell you this, boy. I went through Indiana, that wasn't too bad. Ohio started to get a little, you know, it was like, get a little long. But once I got to Pennsylvania, oh my God, it felt like it was forever, like an eternity. And on the way, when I first got into Pennsylvania, I noticed that my tire wasn't looking too good. So I ended up, had to go buy 2 new front tires just while I was out there. But the good thing about it is that those 2 tires was extremely cheap. Like in Chicago here, for 2 tires, would have cost me about $500. These 2 tires only cost me about $300. So I was like, yo, I'm glad I got them out here than anything, you know, than me getting them, you know, out here in Chicago. But, you know, nonetheless, yo, I go through Pennsylvania. It felt like, who knows, it felt like 3 days, whatever, going through Pennsylvania. And, yo, we finally get there. You know, I didn't get to New York till about, or I'm sorry, New Jersey, because she was staying, you know, spending the day with her friends in New Jersey, whatever. Went over there, met up. You know, she basically told me, yo, it's better for me just to take the hotel since it was so small, the room, another, you know, New York room, style room. You know, so basically my daughter, we spent the night, you know, in basically in Queens in the hotel. But before that, I actually took my daughter to go look at Times Square. You know, I plan on probably taking her back real soon to New York so that she could, you know, see everything else that New York has to offer. But still, it was just the whole fact of the matter that, you know, we got there. It was about 12 o'clock when we, 12:30 when we left from Times Square. After that, we didn't even make it back to the hotel till about 1:30, 2 o'clock because of construction. I was like, yo, this is crazy that it took me this long from Times Square to even get to the hotel in Queens, you know, near JFK. So, you know, we went to sleep, got out early like at 7 a.m. and took that ride back home. Man, that was, yo, because of that sleep, you know, not getting enough sleep, yo, that was actually a longer ride because I had to stop and take a couple of breaks. But nonetheless, this is what has happened. This was a long weekend of me driving to New York and coming back, all because, you know, the fact that these airlines wouldn't let me fly with a dog, you know. But nonetheless, maybe if you guys want this, I will create a video about what you need to bring a pet over from Colombia to the United States. It is a long process. It is a hefty process, you know, aggravating just like any other visa process, but it's possible. So let me know if you guys want that. If you guys want me to get that for you guys, whatever, hey, it's no problem. I'll try to make a video, whatever. But nonetheless, that was it. Thank you guys for listening to my story that I went through. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. You know, leave comments below. Let me know what you guys think about this. Whatever. It's your boy, Solo Traveler RD, and I'm out.